Look, you're here today because you never fit in. You never have, and that's okay. Because I didn't really either. I tried. Oh my God, I tried so many times. And it only lasted for so long until I would burn out. I would crack addictions, difficult relationships. I just suddenly have this idea that I'm going to quit my job and move to another country. All kinds of ways that I would create chaos in my life because that was what I was used to. I was used to some level of chaos. And when things got good, when they got easy, when they got smooth, when they got simple, at whatever level of achievement, I would just usually burn it to the ground. And one of the key reasons why I've done this is because of my nervous system. Now, look, if you're watching this, chances are that you have a very highly ADHD nervous system. You are not disordered. You're incredibly gifted. But society would like you to think that you're disordered, and society would love for you to take some pills so that you can fit into their little systems and boxes and cubes. But look, I think that you ought to try something else. Look, I'm not against medicine. I'm not for medicine, but I do believe that the medicines that are given to us by big companies are probably not the most ideal. And I bet that there's a lot more wisdom in the earth and in ancient wisdom and all kinds of things like that. And so, my suggestion to you is simply to recognize that there's another way to deal with your ADHD nervous system. Don't get me wrong, it is hard to live in this world with this ADHD thing, but you're not meant to live in this world. And in fact, if you are running your life daily like you have been taught in school or in university or in most of the workplaces that you were domesticated in, then you are not going to be living the most ideal life for yourself. Bold statement, right? Yeah, you need to change almost everything about your life. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna make it, overly dress it up, try to sell it to you, water it down, and tell you that like it's, change is so easy and change is like, oh my God, it's if you have the right mindset. Yes, don't get me wrong, the mindset helps. And understanding your nervous system helps, and understanding your emotions, and understanding your genetic programming, and understanding this world as an energetic place, and understanding interconnectedness and environments and ecosystems. There is so much complexity in this game of life. And I know that you want to play it to the best of your capacity because you're like me. You want to do things well, maybe even a little bit traumatized to focus on doing them extremely well, so much so that you probably have difficulty with failing. But you also know that failure is feedback. It is something that gives us the data that we need to not have to fail the same way again in the future. Fail fast, as those entrepreneurs often say. But look, there are better ways to fail. There are better ways to fall. There are better ways to live life. In fact, that is what this is all about. If you have an ADHD nervous system, and yes, I'm also going to speak a little bit to you as well, autistic, neurodivergent, Tourette's, dyslexic, whatever weird different way that you live in and interpret this world that doesn't fit the one that society built for you, you are welcome here and it's time for you to change your life. Today, I'm going to give you just 3 simple tips on how you can make tremendously effective changes in your life if you have an ADHD nervous system. But look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not any of that shit that I need to advise you about because I'm not advising you. I'm just showing you a way. I'm giving you suggestions, and it's your choice whether to use them or not. So let's see if I can get out this whiteboard thing and start to talk to you about what you need to do to live a better life with an ADHD nervous system. All right, Egyptian internet, load this whiteboard experience, please. While we're doing that, this might take, oh, hallelujah, it's coming up. So what we need to do is we need to talk about the 3 most high leverage things that you can. There we go. Let's talk about the 3 most high leverage changes that you can make in your life in order to better honor your ADHD nervous system. Number one, what I'm going to recommend you do is just completely change your perspective around what ADHD is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just draw number 1. That looks like a D. Number 1. The first thing that you're going to do is you are going to change your attitude towards ADHD. I'm actually also going to recommend that you go ahead and change your label for ADHD. Now, you might need to search for resources and find things where you say ADHD tips and hacks and whoops and all that stuff. But look, you are not ADHD. You do not have an ADHD nervous system. You are not disordered. You are a beautiful, complex human being who comes from a different genetic background. Your genetic background is important for you to understand because you are more likely, and I'm referring to a book, ADHD, A Hunter in a Farmer's World. You are more like a hunter-gatherer, tribal lifestyle, nature, let's just say living in nature, and cycles and rhythms. So when you start to understand that, rhythms, a lot of H's in that word, isn't there? But once you understand that you have a different genetic background and that you're not disordered, and that your people historically thrived in environments where a hunter-gatherer would survive. That's why you have this distractible nervous system, because you have evolved in an environment that unfortunately does not exist much on this planet. Even the people in the tribal civilizations that I have lived with, which I have lived with a couple of tribes, they live a very modern life, cell phones and all kinds of things. Living here with nomadic, the Bedouin people who are greatly nomadic, I understand what it means to have an ADHD nervous system in this kind of peculiar combination of modern life and tribal village environment. So you would do better to live somewhere where there are more tribal lifestyle elements, right? This is, sure, there can be a hierarchy, but there's a general sense of community and supporting each other. There's a sense that your community is your lifeblood. And by being a part of the community, by taking part at whatever level, you are supporting and helping that to thrive or to fail. And then also that you live in nature, or at least are in close proximity to nature. It should not take you more than 5 minutes to get into a wild place. 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, you're pushing it. The longer it is, if you like, I have mountains that I can take 5 minutes and I can be out in the mountains. I can take 5 minutes and I'm at the beach. I can be diving in the water. I can be swimming with coral and fish. You need to live in nature. And cycles and rhythms is you need to honor them. In the winter, you're slower. In the summer, you're more active. There's different landscapes you need to pay attention as well, because living in nature also means living in harmony with your environment. All right, so I would go read the book. This is going to be ADHD Hunter, in a Farmer's World. I would go and check that one out. And that'll dramatically change your perspective, because you need to stop labeling yourself. I hate labeling myself with ADHD. I use it mostly to speak to other people about it, but I am not ADHD. I have a neurodivergent nervous system. I have an ancient nervous system. I have a different nervous system. I'm wired differently than most people. I'm not disordered. Get that fucking D out of your life. Sounds a little funny. Anyways, number 2. Okay. Second thing that you are going to do in order to dramatically shift your life is you are going to question your diet. I don't know what is right for you. I'm not going to tell you what is right for you, but you need to question your diet. Now, how do you do that? There's all kinds of ways. You can do an elimination diet, and you can start to reincorporate things like dairy and highly inflammatory foods. I would highly encourage that you cut out grains. They were not really a part of our environment ancestrally, and therefore it's not something that we do well with. We can adapt to it. Humans can adapt to it, but it might be at the cost of, I don't know, inflammation, higher mucus production. But that's your body. I can't tell you what needs to happen in your body, but you need to question your diet. And so for me, when I talk about questioning my diet, my biggest thing that I did is I started cutting out grains. Because if we are hunter-gatherers, then we are not going to do well with grains because we did not grow them. Roots, small amounts of vegetables for sure. Meats, yes. Dairy depends on your background. I can't say yes or no. Something you have to try. Again, I recommend an elimination and diet in order to figure that out. Of course, you can work with a nutritionist, but most nutritionists don't know what they're talking about because they're trained under modern curricula, and I don't trust that. I would also recommend cutting out legumes, super highly inflammatory for most populations, and definitely so for ADHD nervous systems. I would recommend cutting out processed as much as possible. And I mean anything. We're talking about refined grains and sugars. We're talking about canned products. We're talking about synthetics, dyes, natural flavors, which most times, certainly in the United States, I don't know about other places like Europe and stuff, but natural flavors usually means anything but natural. So I would cut those out. And I mean, the list goes on. Do your own research. On top of that, what I would recommend for you to do is learn more about your ancestry. The more that you can learn about where you come from, and I'm not keen on genetic profiles, sending people my DNA. It's up to you. But for your ancestry, I would learn as much as you can. You even have, if you have a nerdy cousin who loves ancestry.com, you can find all kinds of interesting documents that'll lead you to understand who you are. And then learn about them, because if you learned about them, you can learn about like what did they eat and thrive? What did they eat in order to thrive, right? So in order to thrive, what did they do well on? For some people, it's going to be dairy and legumes and all these other things. I'm just going to say my recommendation, 99% of you, 95% of you are going to benefit from cutting out grains and legumes. Dairy is questionable. It could be 50-50. And 100% need to eliminate processed refined foods as much as possible. There are so many studies out there. I'm not going to get into it, but you just need to check it out. Next, questioning your diet. I'm going to say, even though you're not eating it, I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's just put in here anything that goes on your skin or body / hair. Okay. The reason I say this is because so many products are filled with bullshit. And if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, don't put it in on your skin. Okay. Very simple rule. Shout out to Human Garage and Gary over there, because that's just, it makes perfect sense to me. If you can't pronounce the ingredients on it, I would recommend not touching it. Get all the artificial cleaners out of your house. Just get everything that actually will absorb into you, and therefore it is a type of consumption, even though you're not actively consuming it. Get it out of your house. I think it's bad to be dealing with stuff like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to move my cursor somewhere else. Navigation. Okay, touch pattern. Just swipe with 2 fingers. Aha, nice. Thank you for easy to go to instructions. Number 3. Number 3 is going to be talking about relationships. Whoa, why is that so tiny? Oops. It's a shape, not a sticky note. Boom. You are going to question and challenge your relationships. Now, what do I mean by relationships? Well, we've got a few categories. We've got partners / lovers. Okay. They may also be domestic partnerships, but I mean, it depends on what you define there. But someone that you're living with and building a life with, it could be different than lovers, but I'm just going to leave you to figure that out. We've got friends and confidants. Oh, that's how you spell that. And then we've got collaborators, right? We're talking about people that you build with, that you create with. And I'm also going to drop in there, because it might be a unique category for you, but play / create. And these are people like, maybe you have friends that you draw with or play Dungeons and Dragons with, but they're just different than your other friends. Maybe this is like your kite surfing friends. For me, it's my scuba friends and my freediving friends. They're very different from other people in my life. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to question each one of these groups of people. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to really ask a couple of questions, right? So first question that I'm going to ask is going to be, let's talk about what the energy dynamic is between the two of you. Do you feel like you come out of a conversation with them feeling more stressed, less stressed? Do you feel lit up? Do you feel challenged? What is the energy flow? Are they like an energy vampire? Do they give you energy? Do you walk away feeling like you're both more and bigger and more expansive and expressive? If not, might not be a good person to have in there. I'm also going to talk about general direction and like mission, right? I'm going to talk about mission because if a person doesn't have a mission in life, there's very little chance that I'm going to spend a lot of time around them. And with an ADHD nervous system, you have to be very careful who's in your environment because we're so externally driven. We take a lot of cues from our physical and visual environment. The people around us affect our habits. That literally the tribe that we live in affects the quality of our life. And so if we live in a tribe of people who smoke and drink all the time, probably not going to have a very great and effective lifestyle. So the next thing that I'm going to say is for direction, mission, energy dynamics, and then this is totally just improvised at this time. I don't do scripts very well. So the third thing that I would recommend for you when it comes to these relationships is unconditional love. There is we're humans, right? We don't have the easiest time trusting. It really depends on our upbringing. And my upbringing, even though quite good on paper and in photo albums, was very, very confusing energetically with relationships, dependence, love, celebration of others. Like our families is nice, but confusing place. So do these people have an unconditional love for me? Will they accept me even if I mess up? Because guess what? I'm going to at some point in time. And I choose to bridge the gap. Is this a person who knows how to bridge the gap? Or are you always having to meet them on their side of the world? Do they know how to meet you halfway? Do they know how to have those conversations? Do they communicate well? Are they willing to accept call outs? This is us calling their shit out. Are they open to growth, right? Growth mindset. I mean, there's so many things that we could get into here. And I think that they're all valuable and growth mindset. Yes, growth mindset. Are they open to growing as a person? I mean, the list could go on, but the big thing is, and this is why like there's three things, but these three things are also like hundreds of little things, but we're going bigger picture here, right? In order for you to really transform your life with ADHD is change your attitude towards it. Question your diet and what you're consuming, and then relationships, who's in your life. Now, I would love to go into social media. I'm going to give you that as a bonus, number 4. Number 4 is very important, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but number 4 is going to be what you are consuming. Let's call it digital consumption. There's just so much. I can't go into it right now, but you need to be conscious of your digital consumption because those systems are designed. Oof, that hurt. Just scraped a little cut on my toe. Digital consumption is designed for you to consume more. It doesn't care about you that much, but it is a valuable tool. So I'll leave it at that, and we can go that into another video. If you actually really want me to go into that in another video, I would love for you to please comment and I will make that video for you. We have got to talk about that because that's just so fucking important. So I'm going to leave that right there. We're going to jump back into this. I'm just going to say, look, I don't know what else I can give you on top of that right now. There's going to be more to come. If you aren't familiar with the Mutant Academy, my name is Headmaster Christopher Armstrong. I am here to build a place where you can become the best version of yourself, recognizing that you are weird and you are wired differently. So the instructions manuals that we were given are no longer truly valid. It is time for us to upgrade our software as well as our hardware. And we need to do that consciously and collectively, right? The changes that you make in your life affect and benefit me and everybody around the planet. We are interconnected. We are all truly one. And I want you to be well. I want you to celebrate that you have a beautiful nervous system and that you really do belong on this planet. And not only that you do belong, we need you. We need you here lit up and activated because you, my weird ADHD, autistic, whatever the fuck word you want to call yourself, but I would recommend not disorder. You, my beautiful friend, are so, so needed at this time of transformation. My name is Christopher Armstrong. I will leave you with that. And if you're interested in more, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be doing all kinds of free, wonderful little things on our newsletter where I'm going to help you to upgrade and become the best version of yourself. Until next time, signing off.